Ben, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Of course.
For those that may not know you, can you make a brief introduction about yourself, what you're studying, where you're studying, and
Of course. My name is Ben Cuomo. I am from Northeast Ohio, Cleveland, if anybody knows where that's at. I'm currently studying at Baldwin Wallace University. We're a small liberal arts school outside of Cleveland. And I am a sport management major. So traditional sports, I believe. Ivan is also part of that field as well when it comes to schooling, but I am particularly doing it for esports. That's my passion, and that's why I'm here today, quite frankly.
Amazing. And what got you to be part of the collegiate scene? You mentioned your passion for esports, but what did you want to progress it more in a professional way?
I'll start from the beginning on that. I started watching esports in 2018, and I got into it through 100 Thieves. I followed Nadeshot since I was a kid. I grew up playing Call of Duty, grew up watching Nadeshot, and once he created his own esports team, I started to follow them and watch them. I got into League of Legends through that. Actually, I started playing League of Legends, then got into League of Legends esports, and since then I've been wanting to compete. I've been playing seriously competitively. I first started on Fortnite. I played Fortnite pretty competitively for a while, and then went over into high school and started playing Valorant, League of Legends, and actually went to school here at BW to play esports here at Baldwin Wallace University. And then through it, after about 2 years of playing, I was like, you know what? I'm probably not good enough to go pro in this. So instead, I'm going to follow my passion and want to do it professionally in the business side of things. And so that's where I'm at now. That's how my passion has kind of been. And it's fun. It's a lot more fun to do work when it's for things that you care about and you enjoy doing,
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Also, in today's conversation, I want to get into your perspective on the collegiate esports scene, but I want to take a step, a bit deeper and start with how is the state of the high school or collegiate scene in Ohio, in your state, and how do you see it evolving, and then we can start how it's nationwide.
Yeah, sure. Here in Ohio, it's pretty prosperous actually. Ohio, believe it or not, has a really robust system of esports. Here at the high school level, we have what we call Esports Ohio. It is a entire organization that's volunteer ran. I believe it's a nonprofit organization, and they do high school competition throughout the entire state. They host yearly lands as well for all these high school players to come play. They do just about every title you can think of. They do Fortnite, Rocket League, Valorant, League of Legends, Call of Duty, Super Smash Bros. They do everything. And it's really amazing that here in Ohio you can have these, they're clubs at high school. It's their esports clubs. And they are starting to now get full-time faculty for these people as well. And it's really quite special to see because it's starting that pipeline, which you've talked about before on these calls, and everybody that's semi-familiar with collegiate esports knows that there needs to be a pipeline from middle school to high school, primary education, up into that secondary education in that college, and then eventually pro. And here in Ohio, we're really curating a really, really good environment for that, and that's really amazing to see. So that's in Ohio at least. And then collegiately, we have the GLEC, which is the Great Lakes Esports Conference. And that's not just Ohio, it's more of the whole Northeast Great Lakes region, obviously, of the United States. But that's the more regional competition. And then through that, you can qualify for larger competitions. And of course, collegiate teams here play in NACE and NACC and stuff like that as well.
Amazing. Did you experience the pipeline from high school to collegiate? Did you go to a LAN event to get recruited, or how did that work?
So I was a bit before everything. I was doing esports about, I guess, 5 years ago at this point. Um, the person I was good friends with the person that actually started the club at Avon at my high school. So I was one of the people that was playing video games and doing it. And I was like, why don't we start? Why don't we start our own club? Because it was just starting to become a thing. It was just starting to hear whispers about these esports clubs in high school. And as my time, I didn't go to any lands or anything like that. I would play in showcase matches and showcase leagues for different colleges. So colleges, the one that immediately comes to my mind is Defiance College. That's an Ohio league here. And for League of Legends, they have like in-house tournaments that they'll invite players to, and you play in them, and it's essentially like a scouting show match. So I was playing in those types of things to get scouted and recruited. No LAN experience for me at a young age, but I got it pretty quickly in college, which is pretty cool.
Amazing. And like from your experience, like at uni, like when you were competing and stuff, like what do you think are some challenges that collegiate esports, from a student's perspective, that it faces, like in the US, let's say?
The number one challenge in my personal opinion, for collegiate athletes, esports athletes, and I experienced this one heavily, is just burnout. Burnout is so prevalent in the esports scene within my program and within a lot of the other schools that I talk to and stuff like that. And it's really because all of these leagues, they are either going on at the same time and they're going on through the entire course of the year, right? So like when my first year playing Valorant, we had 3 different game days. So we would play a like full best of 3 varsity game Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. And that's like, if it goes game 3, it's like 4 or 5 hours you're there. Like it's a lot. And then you're practicing every other day of the week as well. So it's like you really have to be committed to it. Like you're practicing just as many hours as any traditional athlete, sometimes more even. And burnout is the number one cause of like quitting that we have at my program here at BW. Like burnout is brutal. And that is something that I think is trying to be challenged and thought of new ways around it. But that is the biggest challenge for a student in that position. And of course, the time commitment piece. You have to be able to balance being a student on top of being a competitive player, and you also have to balance the social aspect of things, because you're in college, right? You want to be social, you want to be learning new things, you want to be making new friends, and it's just a lot to balance. I know for myself, I had a ton of stuff I was doing. I took on so much more than I could actually take, and I had to slowly work it back down after my first year. So I think those are probably the 2 big things in my mind: the time commitment piece and then the burnout.
You definitely like put in more hours than traditional athletes in most cases, because like in traditional sports, there's one conference that the university competes in, and in esports we have several, and now one more. That it just came. So yeah. And how, like, between you guys or your like faculty leader, like, how do you manage that burnout? Do you talk to a counselor? Do you like the training and competition schedule? How do you work around that so it's like sustainable, class training competition?
I think so my first year, I came in, and my first year was also our director's first year. And my director is one of the biggest inspirations in my life. He's amazing, great guy. And we were all learning how all this stuff worked on our own. So the first year we were all super excited. We're ready to go. And we did way more than we could handle, right? And so the burnout was hitting, and all of us in the program at that point had to take a step back after that first year and be like, okay, this is not sustainable. Doing this much this frequently is not sustainable. And so we put in steps to do that. Currently, at least, we try to have on season and off season for all of our competition titles. So for example, in Valorant, our fall semester is our on-season time, is our on-season area of semester. So we'll play in the GLEC, which is the Great Lakes Esports Conference, during the fall, and there isn't a GLEC competition for Valorant in the spring. So Valorant then would only be playing in NACE or something else, CVAL or something, in that springtime. But when you focus the certain titles on the certain things, so GLEC is usually our school's primary focus. That's the league we primarily compete in because it's the most competitive for us, and it offers us the best opportunities because that's the league that if you get top in your divisions, you go to lands and stuff like that, and you can win really cool trophies and prizes and stuff. And then I'm assuming for bigger programs, it would be they would focus on like CVAL, for example, right? They're focusing on the CVAL league or NACE Premier or something like that, like a really highly competitive league. And that's their primary focus. And they might be in a couple other leagues as kind of like practice scrim days and stuff like that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And okay, with what you mentioned, and you also mentioned class schedule, like NACE also, because the community asked for it, are going to, like, schools can now, if I understood well, will be able to choose, when they are available to compete.
Yeah.
How do you think that's going to affect students? Because traditionally, like it was, okay, like here's the training schedule, and student athletes can choose class before everyone else, so it adapts. Okay.
Yes.
But if everyone can choose their schedule, and not everyone has the same class schedule in the same university, imagine across like over
all
500 programs.
Yeah.
How do you think that's going to work?
I think I don't hate the idea. Mainly because when it comes to student perspective, like majority of esports competition is taking place later in the day, right? It's happening at night and stuff like that. And when it comes to classes, at least at smaller universities, I know at bigger universities is drastically different, but the only classes that are happening later are like night classes, and those are done at 9 o'clock at the latest. And we're gamers. We stay up until ungodly hours, and we're also college students. You get a bad mixture of just like caffeine addiction and getting about 4 hours of sleep when you're in college and you play video games. So that is like, I really don't think it will be that bad. And I think it's good to try to be as flexible as humanly possible. And for NACE specifically, they have so many teams competing where I think they'll be able to find matches where teams can schedule with each other, right? And especially like because you have big universities that have 4 or 5 teams that they're all throwing into NACE as well. So it's like you have a lot of competition that I think they can work with. So I think it will end up being a good decision in the future.
Yeah. And it's also amazing that, they did what the community asked or preferred. So yeah. Let's see how that plays and everything. And now that I just mentioned NACE, okay, like, why not? Like prize pools.
Yeah.
On social media, you see a lot of school administrators and other industry professionals comment, give their ideas. I don't see many students do that. So do you get why? Do you see the long-term vision? Are you what you've talked with your teammates? Are they like a bit like pissed, like now we don't have the prize? Like, what is your opinion, and like what have you heard around student wise?
I will say this as a student, but also like I have a mindset of like the professional business side of things. Like I understand this from the perspective of the administrators as well. Just because I've gone to work with you guys and I've been the assistant director here at my school as well. So like I understand it from an administrative position. But from the player mindset exclusively, for the bigger schools that are earning the most money, it will suck. Like those players will be annoyed about it. But when it comes to like smaller schools like us, we don't play for the prize money. Like college players really at this point aren't playing for the prize money, right? Like especially if you're going to school and you're getting a scholarship for playing esports, you're already getting paid, like that's the mindset that I think that in my head, like a player would have. That's what the mindset I would have would be. And I think all that the $50,000 or so that they are reallocating, I think it will, if they do it in the correct way, I think it'll be used in a way better way. I think you could use that money way more effectively than putting $50,000 of it into prize pool. And this will be a bit of a tangent from myself, but I think them pushing to have developer-based prize pools is really good. And so they already mentioned in their announcement that Overwatch is still keeping the prize pool because Blizzard pays for it. It's out of, like, Overwatch is paying for the prize pool. And I think that there needs to be a better connection between these collegiate leagues, these collegiate schools, and the developers of the game. Like, if Riot starts paying for prize pool money with Valorant and League of Legends, that's amazing. That's what needs to be happening, in my personal opinion. And they obviously do that with their, like, not Red Bull, but like CVAL and all that other stuff, their collegiate leagues, but they should have it trickle down a bit more into the other divisions. I think that would be ideal. But from a player perspective, to wrap it all up, I don't think it's not worth getting super upset about. Like, the only people that will be truly upset about it are the teams that were winning all the money every single time. Like, the fact that 3 teams were winning 50% of the money ever done is absurd. Like everybody already knew that those 3 teams were winning all the money, but
that's like
actual amount
Rocket
is
League in Europe.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it makes more sense to put that money into other things to bring everybody else up, in my opinion.
Yeah. And come on, let's go in. Like, what do you think, or what do you want or what do you expect that 50K to be spent on?
I don't know. I don't know what the situation at NACE is, right? Like, if I knew what the internal situation is, like, if they need a new employee, 50 grand, that's a salary. That's a yearly salary, right? So maybe they get a new employee. Maybe they can do something cool with that. Or it's 50 grand into, like, I don't know, streaming and, like, quality of streaming and stuff like that. That would be good. Like, maybe it's 50 grand to buy, like, TV rights to something. You could, like, that would be really helpful as well. So I think there's a lot of places that you could put the money towards that would be really helpful overall. Or 50, I think, when you watch the announcement video, I think one of the big ones as well is, like, transportation for, like, schools for the LAN tournaments and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, those LAN tournaments, that's what the players are playing for. In college esports, they aren't playing for money. They aren't playing to win a game online. They're playing to go to a LAN and play in front of people on computers in front of each other, and so they can trash talk in person. Like, that is what college esports really is all about, and I think getting as many people to do that as possible is good.
Amazing. Yeah, completely agree with you. And more and more programs are not investing more time and resources in, like, storytelling, like media, like, trying to build, that fan base bit by bit, and putting the program more, like, on social media in a professional way. How are you seeing that? Are you seeing that change in programs? Are you guys doing it in your university? What's your stance on that?
So there is the push. It's hard right now still, because when it comes to universities, they still have this idea of what esports is, right? They don't publicize it ever. They don't talk about it. They don't care to talk about it, really. Like, the only time that my university talked about our program is when we opened up our facility, right? Like, our facility with all of our computers where we practice and stuff like that. They love that. They put that everywhere for about a month, and then it hasn't been mentioned since. And it's in program, we have writers and people who, like, try their hardest to write, and we do social media and stuff like that, and it's just, like, it's very isolated. What we need is big programs to make big waves, right? So, like, programs that are massive and are the top of the top, like Northwood, St. Clair, Maryville, right? They need to be the ones that are reaching out to ESPN. They're reaching out to this Dexerto. They're reaching out to these other media places that, because they're more credible than like if Piddlywunk BW reaches out, right? Nobody will care. But if those bigger programs reach out and are like, hey, this is a story of this kid, he's doing this, right? Like that would be amazing. That's the type of stuff that I think needs to happen a bit more within program wise. And then there's a whole can of worms with esports as a whole and how it needs to break into mainstream media, but that's not really even something worth getting into right now. So
Okay, but do you think we have the viewership right now to approach
for collegiate
an
wise?
ESPN? Yeah.
Collegiate wise, I don't, and viewership wise, no. And when I say like approach ESPN and Dexerto and stuff like that, it's not about like media rights. I don't think any esports right now is really at the point where we can get it on TV. But like I think approaching them about like articles, writing stories about these people, and just having it on like ESPN.com for the people that scroll all the way to the bottom and they see an esports piece, right? Maybe they'll read it because they're interested. I think that's what needs to happen. We need to slowly start getting the ball rolling where it's like the smaller traditional sports, like professional badminton or professional volleyball, right? Like you really don't get it on TV, but there's at least articles and stories being written so that they can have a fan base outside of the people that play the game. And I think that that is what we need to start doing in esports, because esports has the foundation to become like nuclear massive. Like it has the size to be baseball or football in across the world, right? It's big enough. We know it's big enough. But we have to start getting the ball rolling and get those outside fans. That's the big thing.
Yeah. Ben, what do you want to achieve in collegiate esports? Maybe not in a specific timeline, like next year or in 5 years, but like, what's your motivation?
I think one of the big things I want to achieve in collegiate esports specifically is the sustainability piece. We need to make it sustainable, and I think collegiate esports is the key to making esports as a whole break into the mainstream. And I think that that is probably my overall goal. I've thought about it a lot. I think the if I could place a like tangible goal, it would be to create a overarching, kind of like NCAA is for collegiate esports here in the United States. Create some sort of overarching governing body for collegiate esports. I think that needs to happen. I think having a gazillion different leagues is not good for collegiate esports. I think having 5 different rule sets for each league is also really bad for esports. I think not having the developers on board with what the missions are of these organizations and of these collegiate leagues are is also not good. I think there needs to be a centralized body eventually that is able to actually make these things happen. And once that's able to happen, it will connect that pipeline piece and it will allow esports to break into the mainstream. Like college football is more popular than American pro football, right? Like, and we know that it can happen the same with esports. It's the same formula. We just have to start plugging the numbers in a bit better. I think that's so tangible piece, one organized governing body for esports collegiately. I think that would be one of the best things to happen to collegiate esports that could happen.
Yeah. You think that's one of the main reasons why publishers are not investing as much time as they could, or they don't see the value because there's no
I think I know that Riot Games specifically does not invest into that system because they want it like that. Like they know that because it's so scattered and spread out and not organized, that they don't have to help contribute to it. Like that has been said to people before. And I think that is a primary component as to why it's hard for these organizations, for leagues and collegiate esports to like actually make connections with the publishers, like you said. And that like the big thing from the player perspective, at least as well, is the different rule books suck. Like my players, they hate it. Like they hate playing different leagues, and they're like, they will specifically choose which leagues they're playing based off of how absurd the rule books are. Because some of these leagues their rules are so drastically different from other leagues. So it's like you're playing a completely different game. Especially like Super Smash Bros. That entire scene, the FGC collegiate scene, is crazy because every league has a very drastically different rulebook. And then I forget what it was, but some league was introducing like Overwatch bans and all this other stuff, like pick ban stuff, when another league wasn't doing it. So it's like my players were like, what are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to practice when we have to incorporate pick bans in one league, but we don't incorporate them in another league? It's very difficult from a player perspective to operate when you have leagues with multiple different rule books and stuff like that. So that's the player perspective on that point.
I didn't hear the player perspective, because I know like directors and stuff were like, yeah, we have to know the rules. We have to do all the work, but it's also all the work for you guys as well.
Yeah, you have to, like, the players have to practice for multiple rule sets, which is horrible. That it's so unproductive from like a practice standpoint. It's like you're playing football and you have to practice for flag football and tackle football. Like what is that? Like that, it makes no sense. Or you're playing soccer and you have to, or European football, and you have to practice for futsal and traditional football. Like it's like you
can't focus and be very good at one thing.
Exactly. It's very difficult for the players to be doing that type of stuff.
Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah.
Yep.
For sure. Then let's go a bit, I'm not gonna be like, well, how was your experience in Esportian? What did you learn? Like, let's go more to the, like you did some recruiting, okay? Yep. Then you switched to marketing there with Kevin and Wesley. What do we need to improve on? We've talked about this, but like, what do we need to improve on as Esportian marketing wise?
Marketing wise, I think the biggest thing right now, I think it's less to improve and continue doing what I think we have cooked up. I think with what myself, Wesley, and Kevin, what we've cooked up is really quite good. And we just need to continue with the visibility piece, and unfortunately it's a slow process, like letting people know that we exist. Hey, this is a thing. And I think the biggest thing that we've come to terms with, in that I've talked to you about, and I think that you've really enjoyed this piece as well, is like letting people know that there is a solution to this problem that they don't even know they have, right? Like these players don't even realize that they could go to the United States, play esports in college, and nearly get a paid for entirely college tuition, right? Like they don't even know that this is
in
possible.
Some cases.
In some cases, yes.
Yeah, because everyone is like, yeah, it was my full ride. It was my full tuition.
Yes. Like, show us how good you are at the game, and then we'll let that happen. But you can get some pretty nice amount of money from the college to come play esports in the United States. And it's a problem that people don't even know that they could have. And we have to we have to let these people know that they have a problem, and that we are also the solution at the exact same time. So it's a bit difficult in that perspective, and I think we're doing a good job at it. I think we just have to keep slowly continuing our marketing efforts and stuff like that. But yeah, I think social media wise, we need to get some engaging content. That's, I think, the biggest critique I have is I'm not a social media person. I help with it. I'm good at coming up with ideas, but I can't really make it. But I think engagement and making content that will start trending is what we need is going to be a beneficial piece.
Appreciate your honesty here. Yeah, that's what more behind the scenes content. That's what I'm pushing for this next half of the year, like including like asking students if they don't mind for us to record.
All I'm saying is Attila and Gavin better be vlogging whatever the hell they're doing this week. That's all I'm saying.
In Gamescom, yeah. Actually,
they better be.
I'm gonna write them right now to remind them.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that would be cool. That would be cool. Yes, man. Ben, what are your next steps in the collegiate scene, if you don't mind sharing?
Sure. I think right now, this year I got my last year of uni. I got one more year in my undergraduate here at BW. Um,
Mhm.
going to be focusing a lot on the connection pieces still. Right now I'm looking for graduate programs because you can't really exist in the esports scene without having at least a master's degree. So I am going to be looking to go back to school to do that. Um, I have some pretty good prospects already for that I'm really excited about, and hopefully we'll be able to work with that. Looking to get into bigger programs. Because BW was such a smaller program, I'm looking to be in a big program so I can get the full scale of things, right? Um, and then from there, we'll see. But immediate goals, still looking for schools for graduate and networking. Here in business and esports specifically, networking is the single most important thing you can possibly do. Um, and the only reason I'm here right now is because I randomly connected to you on LinkedIn, Ivan. That's like literally the only reason I am here right now is because I randomly sent you a connection on LinkedIn. So that's what it's like. That's what it's like on the business world.
Yeah, and also, as I mentioned off camera, like, you can always use me as a reference
Yeah,
because,
of course.
like, you've done an amazing job, and you've also, with the team, like, because we were focusing before in like posting a bit, focusing a lot on recruitment. That's where our revenue came from, and you made us, like a more like kind of acceptable brand, like working more in the marketing.
Yeah.
And that's not easy. And the way you put, as you mentioned, it was a new thing that you guys had to develop,
Yeah.
and it was good for some people. It can be good for some people, and it can be
Yes.
a very like
That's
overwhelming.
one.
So for some people, yeah,
That's one of the cool things about working for a company like Esportian. It's like you get a lot of responsibility really quickly. So like you better be worth your dollar. You better be the dog with bark and bite. Um, and you better be able to like actually work under the pressure. And I think anybody that can do that, it's a great opportunity. Being able to, especially I got lucky as well to get switched through 3 different phases of the company. I saw so much. I think there's only like 2 or 3 people in the organization right now that were there when I first joined. So it's like, gosh, but it's pretty cool.
man. So just like last question, I just came out like with the work you're putting in and what you want to learn and what you want to do. Like, where do you like your work
Yeah,
towards the scene? Where do you want to see it go? Let's say 3 years from now.
sure. Um, is that in terms of like Esportian? Where do I want to see my work in Esportian go, or just my
No, no, no,
personal
no.
goals?
Like you
Sure.
in the collegiate scene. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I'm not sure yet. I think eventually my goal is always to end up in professional at some point. Um, I think I'm still probably going to end up in professional at some point in my career. Um, but my big thing is event planning. I love hosting events, creating events, and being the person in charge of all of that. Um, and I've kind of gotten like everything. I've worked on partnerships here. You need to be able to do that for events. I've worked on marketing. You need to be able to do that for events, obviously. I've worked on recruiting, which you need to be in sales, which you need to be able to do for events. And I think that that is really my goal. 3 years from now, hopefully I have a master's degree. Trying to find a job somewhere. I think it'd be pretty cool if I could do it internationally. If I end up back in Spain or something, that'd be pretty sweet. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Koi, hit me up, please. And then I think just working in like activations, events, partnerships, stuff like that. I think that is where I eventually want to end up. If I could be like commissioner of the LCS, that'd be cool. But that's long, or like
Step by
exactly
step.
that's not a
Yeah,
3 year idea type of thing. That's like a
yeah.
15, 20. But yeah, I think that would be cool. Working on events and doing partnerships and
Yeah.
activations. I think that's where I want to end up. Yeah.
And I also like your attitude, that not many people have nowadays, which is like you have to prove yourself, you have to put in the work, and you're not trying to change the world from week 1 or 2, and if you don't achieve changing the world in week 3, you're like, oh, now on to the next thing, or like, I don't know what to do, like the work that has to be done, and amazing, man, amazing. Ben, is there anything else that you would like to mention that we haven't talked about?
I don't think so. I think, I got nothing. We covered a good amount.
Man. Perfect. I mean, we touched on a lot of bases on Collegiate Esports and a bit on Esportian. So, man, it was a pleasure to have you. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm sure you're going to be very successful. For you in the future. So thank you very much.
Have me back when have me back when I'm working for Riot Games or something.
Let's manifest that. Let
me know. I'll come back and I'll talk.
How many years till you end up in Riot? Or year? Come on.
I'm thinking. Come on. I'm thinking 10. I'm thinking 10.
10, but okay. I thought less. Okay, 10. Okay.
I think 10. I've been having this like inkling that I'm somehow going to end up at Red Bull Gaming. I don't know why, but I've been having this inkling that I'm going to end up at Red Bull Gaming, and I think that'd be pretty cool. So we'll see. Red Bull Gaming to Riot Games. I think that might be the path that I have in my brain right now.
Like the Esportian process, make a 10-year plan, then go through, the 3-year, 1 year,
dream board.
Month,
I need to do the dream
weekly,
board.
Yeah, and like break it down and Okay,
exactly.
Then, see you in the next one.